Imagine this, the moment after sex when the world feels quiet and still. What if I told you that what a man truly longs for in that space isn't what you expect, and it holds the key to deeper connection than you ever imagined? When it comes to what men truly want after sex, it's easy to assume that physical satisfaction is the ultimate goal. But science reveals a deeper truth. Men crave emotional connection just as much, if not more, than the physical release itself. The act of sex triggers a complex interplay of hormones and psychological responses that go far beyond the immediate moment. And this emotional craving for closeness is often overlooked or misunderstood. After sex, men experience a heightened sensitivity to connection because the physical intimacy naturally opens a door to vulnerability, which is not only about the body but also about the heart. The cultural stereotype that men are detached or only interested in the physical is misleading, because beneath the surface their brains are wired to seek reassurance, comfort, and a sense of belonging with their partner. When a man feels genuinely connected after sex, it reinforces feelings of safety and acceptance, which, in turn, strengthens the bond between both partners. This is why so many men linger close, want to hold hands, or simply want to be near their partner in the moments following intimacy. It's an unconscious desire to extend that emotional closeness beyond the physical act itself. It's not about needing constant validation or being clingy. It's about fulfilling an innate human need to be emotionally tethered to someone who has seen them at their most vulnerable. This connection satisfies a primal need for intimacy that nurtures trust and commitment, which is why men who experience this emotional closeness are more likely to feel secure and valued in the relationship. It also explains why the aftermath of sex can sometimes be a critical moment for men. It's when the feelings and chemistry generated by the act need to be matched by emotional presence and tenderness. Without this connection, men may feel confused, isolated, or even distant, despite the physical satisfaction they experienced moments before. Understanding this shifts the narrative from viewing men as purely physical beings to recognizing that they desire a holistic experience where body and heart are both engaged. So when you think about what a man truly wants after sex, it's not just the release or the pleasure, it's the emotional closeness that makes the entire experience meaningful and lasting. This connection is what builds foundations for deeper intimacy, ongoing desire, and mutual trust, transforming sex from a mere physical act into an expression of love and belonging that satisfies not just the body, but the soul. The role of oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, is crucial in understanding what men truly want after sex, because this powerful chemical doesn't just influence women, it affects men just as deeply, driving their need for emotional connection and closeness in ways many people don't realize. When a man has sex, his brain floods with oxytocin, which is released in large amounts during orgasm and plays a key role in forming trust and attachment. This surge of oxytocin creates a biological imperative for him to feel connected to his partner, not merely as a physical experience but as an emotional one. It's this hormone that explains why after the physical act is over, many men don't just want to leave or detach. Instead, they crave reassurance, warmth, and intimacy that goes beyond the surface. Oxytocin lowers stress, increases feelings of safety, and promotes bonding, which means that after sex a man's brain is essentially wired to seek closeness and comfort. This is why cuddling, gentle touches, eye contact, or even simple quiet moments together can mean so much. They reinforce the bond that oxytocin starts to build. Without this emotional reinforcement, men might feel a strange emptiness or disconnect, even if the physical experience was pleasurable, because the hormonal signal that calls for bonding was left unmet. This also clarifies why men who feel ignored or rejected after sex might become distant or confused. Their bodies and brains are sending a clear biological message that connection is necessary, but if it's not reciprocated, it creates tension and emotional confusion. It's important to understand that this hormonal response isn't a sign of weakness or neediness. It's simply how human beings, including men, are wired to build lasting intimacy and trust. This oxytocin-driven need for closeness after sex explains behaviors that might otherwise be misunderstood, like wanting to hold hands, rest their head on their partner's chest, or talk softly after the physical intensity fades. These behaviors are expressions of a deep, natural desire to cement the emotional connection that the hormone initiates. Recognizing the role of oxytocin helps shift the perspective from seeing men as solely focused on physical satisfaction to appreciating the complexity of their emotional needs. It also invites partners to respond in ways that honor this biological drive, creating a cycle of mutual closeness and trust that deepens the relationship over time. In essence, oxytocin is the body's way of saying, this connection matters, stay close and build on this moment. And when men's need for this bonding is met after sex, it fuels not just desire, but also commitment and emotional security, laying the groundwork for a stronger, more fulfilling relationship. Vulnerability after sex is one of the most powerful ways to deepen emotional attachment because it opens the door to authentic connection and trust, which are essential ingredients for any meaningful relationship. When a man feels safe enough to show his true feelings and insecurities after intimacy, it signals that he's letting down his guard, and this act of sharing creates a profound sense of closeness that goes far beyond the physical act itself. Science tells us that vulnerability triggers the release of oxytocin and other bonding hormones in both partners, which helps build emotional bridges that strengthen the relationship. It's not just about physical closeness or pleasure, it's about revealing the parts of ourselves that are often hidden, our fears, hopes, and sometimes our doubts, and having those parts met with acceptance and understanding. When men are able to express vulnerability after sex without fear of judgment or rejection, it fosters a feeling of being truly seen and valued, which is something most men deeply desire, but don't always know how to ask for. This willingness to be emotionally open doesn't just deepen his attachment to you, it also invites reciprocity, encouraging you to be vulnerable in return, and creating a safe space where both partners feel connected on a soul level. This shared vulnerability breaks down emotional barriers and replaces them with trust, security, and intimacy. Many men struggle with societal expectations that tell them they must always be strong or in control. So when they find someone with whom they can safely share their softer side, it becomes a transformative experience. It's in these moments that the emotional bond can deepen dramatically, turning a purely physical encounter into a foundation for long-term emotional intimacy. The ability to be vulnerable after sex communicates that your relationship is about more than just physical pleasure. It's about emotional partnership and mutual support. This emotional openness encourages men to invest more deeply in the relationship, knowing that they are accepted wholly, not just physically but emotionally and mentally. It also helps prevent misunderstandings and emotional distance that can arise when feelings go unspoken or are masked by bravado. Ultimately, vulnerability after sex isn't a sign of weakness, but a profound strength that paves the way for real connection and lasting love, making the experience richer and more meaningful for both partners. What men truly want after sex goes far beyond physical satisfaction. They deeply desire to feel valued and seen in a way that acknowledges their whole person, not just their body or their ability to please, but their emotions, their thoughts, and their presence. When a man feels genuinely appreciated after intimacy, it touches something fundamental inside him because it reassures him that he is recognized and accepted beyond the momentary connection. This desire to be seen and valued is tied to a universal human need for validation and significance. But it's especially poignant after sex, when vulnerability and openness are at their peak. Men, like anyone else, want to know that they matter to their partner on a deeper level, that their efforts, their presence, and their emotional availability are noticed and cherished. When this need is met, it creates a powerful feedback loop of trust and closeness that encourages him to open up more and invest emotionally in the relationship. On the other hand, if a man feels overlooked or taken for granted after sex, if the focus shifts quickly away from him, or if there's a lack of acknowledgement, he may feel used or disconnected, even if he physically enjoyed the experience. Feeling valued after sex validates his vulnerability and effort, confirming that intimacy is a two-way street where both partners' needs matter. This sense of being truly seen can come through simple gestures, warm words, eye contact, a gentle touch, or sincere compliments, but the impact is profound because it reassures him that he is more than just a physical presence, that his emotions and essence are appreciated. In many ways, this need to be valued speaks to a deeper longing for emotional safety and acceptance, which can be a fragile thing for men to admit or express openly due to societal expectations around masculinity. When a partner recognizes and honors this need, it breaks down barriers, allowing men to lower their defenses and experience intimacy more fully. It also fosters an environment where emotional honesty and connection flourish, making the relationship more resilient and satisfying. This craving to be seen and valued is why post-sex interactions matter so much. They shape how men feel about themselves in the relationship and influence their desire to continue investing emotionally and physically. When men sense that they are genuinely appreciated beyond the act itself, it fuels a sense of belonging and partnership that is essential for long-term connection. In essence, making a man feel truly valued after sex is about honoring his whole self and creating a space where his presence, efforts, and emotions are celebrated, not just his physicality, which transforms intimacy into a meaningful exchange of love and respect. Communication after sex plays a far more significant role in how men feel about their connection than many realize, and it goes well beyond simply exchanging words. It's about the tone, timing, and authenticity that shape the emotional aftermath of intimacy. What is said, how it's said, and even what remains unsaid can profoundly influence a man's sense of security, appreciation, and closeness in the relationship. Often, after the physical intensity of sex, there is a delicate window where feelings are heightened and the emotional landscape is more receptive to connection, making this the perfect moment to communicate in ways that reinforce trust and affection. Men want to hear that they matter, that the experience was meaningful to their partner, and that the connection extends beyond the physical act. Simple expressions of gratitude, genuine compliments, or sharing what the moment meant can create a powerful emotional impact. Conversely, silence, distractions, or abrupt changes in mood can leave a man feeling confused, undervalued. Communication here is not about lengthy conversations or analyzing every detail. Rather, it's about conveying warmth, presence, and reassurance in ways that resonate emotionally. It might be a soft thank you, a look that holds meaning, or gentle touches that say, "I'm here with you." When these small but significant acts of communication happen naturally and sincerely, they confirm to a man that his partner sees him, values him, and is emotionally engaged. This reinforcement of connection strengthens his emotional investment and encourages a deeper bond. Moreover, open and honest communication after sex also invites vulnerability from both partners, building a foundation where fears, desires, and emotions can be shared without judgment. This openness reduces misunderstandings that often arise when feelings are left unspoken, and can prevent emotional distance that might otherwise grow. Many men may not articulate this need explicitly, but their behavior often reveals it, whether it's lingering close, seeking eye contact, or wanting to share quiet moments together. Ignoring these subtle cues or dismissing post-sex communication as unimportant misses a critical opportunity to deepen intimacy and foster emotional security. It's this blend of verbal and nonverbal communication that creates a lasting emotional impression and sets the tone for how men feel about the relationship moving forward. When communication after sex is authentic, gentle, and attentive, it transforms the physical experience into a meaningful emotional exchange, making men feel not only desired, but truly connected. This is why couples who prioritize this kind of thoughtful interaction often report stronger bonds and more satisfying relationships. In essence, communication after sex is the bridge between physical pleasure and emotional intimacy, and it holds the key to fulfilling what men really want: a deep, enduring connection that goes far beyond the bedroom. Nonverbal cues after sex carry a powerful emotional weight that often speaks louder than words, shaping how men feel about the connection in ways that linger long after the moment has passed. These subtle gestures, like lingering eye contact, gentle touches, soft embraces, or the way you rest your head on his chest, communicate warmth, safety, and acceptance without needing to say a single word. Science supports this, showing that nonverbal communication activates emotional centers in the brain, fostering feelings of closeness and trust more effectively than verbal reassurances alone. After sex, when vulnerability is at its peak, these nonverbal signals become even more crucial because they provide tangible proof of care and presence in a way that feels immediate and sincere. Men who may sometimes struggle to verbalize their emotions due to societal conditioning often respond deeply to these quiet expressions of affection because they bypass the need for explanation and speak directly to the heart. The way you look at him with softness in your eyes, or the simple act of holding his hand, can reassure him that he is valued, safe, and connected, creating a profound sense of emotional intimacy that words can't always capture. This kind of connection helps cement the bond formed during sex and prevents feelings of isolation or detachment that can arise if the aftermath feels rushed or emotionally cold. Non-verbal cues also serve as a kind of emotional punctuation, marking the experience as meaningful and shared rather than fleeting or transactional. For men who may be conditioned to suppress or hide their need for emotional closeness, these gestures provide an accessible and genuine way to experience love and acceptance. Over time, the consistent presence of these nonverbal affirmations builds a reservoir of trust and security, reinforcing the relationship's emotional foundation and encouraging men to open up more fully. This is why couples who naturally incorporate touch, eye contact, and physical closeness after sex often report greater satisfaction and emotional resilience in their relationships. In essence, nonverbal communication after intimacy transcends language and taps into something primal and deeply human: the need to feel seen, held, and emotionally connected. It's in these quiet moments, free from words or explanations, that the deepest emotional bonds are forged and where men feel the most comfort, acceptance, and love. This is the unseen language of intimacy that, when understood and practiced, unlocks a level of connection that words alone can never achieve, fulfilling what men truly crave after sex: not just physical closeness, but soulful togetherness. At the heart of what men truly want after sex lies a profound need for emotional connection that transcends physical satisfaction. Science shows us that it's not just about the moment of pleasure, but about what follows. The bond created through oxytocin, the vulnerability shared in those quiet moments, and the deep desire to feel seen, valued, and understood. It's in the way we communicate both with words and through subtle nonverbal cues that men find reassurance and a sense of belonging. And these needs are met, intimacy transforms from a fleeting physical act into a powerful exchange of trust and emotional closeness that builds the foundation for lasting love. Understanding this changes the way we approach relationships. It's no longer enough to simply share a physical connection. The true magic lies in how we nurture the emotional space afterward. Meeting a man's need for connection after sex isn't about playing games or fulfilling expectations, but about honoring the whole person, creating safety, and deepening the bond that keeps desire and love alive long after the moment has passed.